Years ago, when I, Olivia, dared to dream of building my own life. There was only one person who knew every corner of my heart, my elder sister, Sophia. We grew up together, sharing everything. Our dolls, our candies, even our secret dreams whispered in the dark of the night. I believed Sophia would always stand by me. Just like she had promised during our childhood. No matter what happens, Olivia, I will always be with you. But life doesn't always unfold the way we imagine. When the time came, when I needed her the most, when my hands trembled and my heart ached for support, Sophia wasn't there. Instead of offering her hand, she turned her back. Instead of encouraging me, she laughed at my dreams. Instead of embracing me, she distanced herself, as if I was a burden she no longer wished to carry. I remember that evening vividly. I had come to her. Tired, broken, but still clinging to hope. Sophia sat at her shining new office desk. Her eyes filled with pride, and a strange coldness I had never seen before. "Olivia," she said, without even lifting her eyes. "The world is tough. Dreams don't pay bills. Grow up." Those words pierced through me like sharp knives. That night, for the first time in my life, I felt utterly alone. As if the person who once tied ribbons in my hair was now tying weights to my wings. But in that very moment, amidst the deepest darkness, a fire was born within me, a silent, burning flame. I wiped my tears. I stitched up my broken heart. And I made a promise to myself. One day, Olivia, you will fly so high that even those who abandoned you will be forced to look up. I didn't know how. I didn't know when. But I knew I would create a life where no one could dare belittle my dreams again. Sophia had forgotten our promises. But I hadn't. And now, as I stand here, holding the key to a story no one knows yet, I realize sometimes the greatest betrayals give birth to the greatest transformations. I was not broken. I was being remade into something stronger, fiercer, unstoppable. And all of this started with a broken dream and a broken heart. After that night, Olivia, made a decision. A decision that would define the rest of my life. I knew if I ever wanted to help myself, or even help Sophia, I had to be invisible, yet powerful. I started working quietly. Days blended into nights, nights into years. No applause, no appreciation, just relentless effort. And then came an opportunity. Sophia's startup was struggling. She needed investments, mentorship, a guiding hand. But her pride wouldn't let her admit it. So I created something no one could trace back to me. A fake company. A brand new identity. Aurora Holdings. It wasn't just a name. It was my armor. I set up an entire facade. A new email, new board members, new website. Everything meticulously crafted to hide the real mastermind behind it. When Sophia's company reached out for investors, Aurora Holdings answered the call. They had no idea who was behind the desk. They just saw money, support, and strategic advice pouring in, and accepted it eagerly. From that moment on, I became the silent architect of her success. I fixed the cracks she refused to see. I steered her company away from disasters she didn't even recognize. I pushed, pulled, and shaped her startup into something solid. All while she proudly boasted about doing it all on her own. Sometimes, late at night, I would stare at her interviews. The way she laughed. The way she credited herself for everything. And I would smile. Not with bitterness. Not with anger. But with a strange, aching affection. She didn't know. She couldn't know. Because if she had known, Her pride would have destroyed everything we both worked for. So I stayed hidden. I swallowed the urge to scream. To cry out. It's me, Sophia. I'm the one who's holding you together. But silence became my strength. Every time I saw her standing taller, I stood a little straighter myself, knowing I had kept my promise, even if she had broken hers. Behind every big meeting, every successful campaign, every victory she celebrated, there was me, quietly adjusting the sails in the background. Sometimes, we save people best by never letting them know they needed saving. And that's exactly what I did. There was a time, a moment so raw, so unforgettable, when I, Olivia, stood at the door of Sophia's dreams, hoping for a small place inside. Her startup was taking its first shaky steps. She needed people, passionate people, hardworking people. I thought, maybe I could be one of them. Not for money. Not for status. But just to stand beside her again, to be a part of something she believed in. So, I gathered every bit of courage I had left. I polished my resume, even though my experience wasn't much. I dressed carefully, putting on the bravest smile I could muster. And I walked into her office, my heart pounding against my ribs like a desperate drum. Sophia barely looked up. She took my resume, scanned it quickly. And then, she laughed. Not the sisterly laugh we used to share under the covers on rainy nights. No. This laugh was sharp. Mocking. Cold. Olivia, she said, smirking. You're not cut out for this world. You're not good enough. She didn't even soften the blow. She didn't even pretend. At that moment, standing there under the bright fluorescent lights of her shiny new office, I felt something inside me shatter. Not just pride. Not just hope. Something deeper, a fragile piece of my soul that had clung to the belief that no matter how far we drifted, Sophia would always see me. But she didn't. And she didn't care. I walked out of that office feeling humiliated, invisible, erased. For days, I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I replayed her words over and over in my mind. Not good enough. Not good enough. Not good enough. But pain has a strange alchemy. It can either destroy you or transform you. I chose transformation. I turned my rejection into rage. I turned my sadness into strategy. I turned every tear into fuel. I whispered to myself in the darkest hours. One day, Olivia, one day, the same people who laughed at you will bow their heads in respect. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want to hurt Sophia. No. I wanted something bigger. I wanted to prove, to her, to the world, and to myself, that I was never not enough. I was more than enough. I was unstoppable. And deep down, even though my heart still carried the scars of that brutal day, I silently thanked Sophia. Because without her rejection, I would have never found the fire burning inside me now. A fire too fierce to ever be extinguished. Success isn't always loud. Sometimes, it moves like a shadow, silent, patient, unstoppable. Years passed. Under the name of Aurora Holdings, I kept investing in Sophia's startup. Carefully, strategically, expanding her reach without ever stepping into the spotlight. I watched from afar. Every success she claimed as her own. Every award she proudly displayed. Every interview where she smiled and said, I did it all by myself. And I kept building an empire hidden behind her small kingdom. Then one day, the opportunity one had been waiting for arrived. Her startup hit a rough patch, a serious one. Internal mismanagement, mounting debts, poor decisions she refused to see. It was all catching up to her. Aurora Holdings, my creation, swooped in with an irresistible offer. Full acquisition. Ownership transfer. Complete control. And she accepted. She had no choice. The papers were signed. The agreements were made. The ink dried. Just like that. Without even realizing it. Sophia no longer owned the company she had once mocked me for being unworthy of. She was now an employee. Under new management. Under me. The irony was almost too much to bear. The girl who wasn't good enough to be hired as an assistant was now sitting silently in a conference room, waiting for the arrival of her new CEO. And that CEO was me. I still remember that day vividly, the day I decided it was time to lift the mask. I walked into the room, confident, calm, unstoppable. Sophia looked up. And her face turned pale. Her eyes widened. For a moment, she didn't breathe. "Olivia," she whispered, as if saying my name would make the nightmare go away. I smiled, not cruelly, not arrogantly, but with the quiet dignity of someone who had fought battles no one else had seen, and won. "Surprise," I said, my voice steady. "I'm your new boss." There was silence, heavy, suffocating, electric. All those years. All that pain. All that laughter at my expense. And now. The tables had turned. But I didn't gloat. I didn't humiliate her. Because true power doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to seek revenge. True power simply stands tall. A silent monument to resilience, to growth, to the unbreakable spirit within. Sophia's face crumbled into a mixture of shock, guilt, and something else. Respect. Real, raw respect. And as I took my seat at the head of the table, I realized something profound. I hadn't just become her boss. I had become the woman I once dreamed of being. Strong, unshakable, and finally seen. Forgiveness beyond victory. As I sat there, facing Sophia, memories came rushing back like a tide I could no longer hold back. The little girls we once were. Building dreams out of paper and glue. Whispering promises under the blanket of stars. "I'll always be there for you," she had said once. And yet, here we were. Two women separated by ambition, pride, and years of unspoken wounds. I could see the regret in her eyes. The silent apologies she didn't know how to form. The years of distance she wished she could erase. And for a moment, I wasn't a CEO. I wasn't her boss. I wasn't even the girl she had once rejected. I was just Olivia, the sister who had never stopped loving her. Because success without forgiveness is hollow. Victory without healing is empty. So, I took a deep breath. And with a steady voice, I said, "I didn't come here to hurt you, Sophia. I came here to remind you that even when you turned away, I never truly left." Tears filled her eyes. Real tears, not of defeat, but of realization. Of gratitude. She stood up slowly. Walked over. And for the first time in years, she hugged me. Not as a boss and an employee. Not as victor and vanquished. But as sisters. Lost and found. And in that moment, the years of pain melted away. Because the true win wasn't sitting at the head of the table. The true win was reclaiming the bond we had almost forgotten. But never truly lost.